This video covers what I'm looking for in NPA2, the complaint letter. First, let's talk about the basics of business letters. There are some very specific things you need to know about writing a business letter, and the first one is that you must fix the default additional spacing that Word puts into documents. There is a video in the tips, tricks, and training area that shows you how to stop this, and you must make sure that you do so for this project. If you do not take out that additional spacing, then you will lose major points on your grade for this assignment. Make sure that you take that step and follow those instructions. You also need to make sure that you try to keep your letter to one page. If you need to go to a second page, it needs to be more than just the place where you sign your name. It needs to have more information on it. But you can always adjust your font or your margins just a tiny bit if you only lack a little bit to make it all fit on one page. It needs to be easy to read. Make sure that your punctuation is consistent. A lot of folks use things like CEO or NASA or USA, and they'll put a period after the C and the E, but not after the O, or after the U and the S, but not after the A. You can do it either way, either one is correct, but make sure that you are doing it consistently. If you put the periods, you have to have a period after the final letter as well. And don't do periods with NASA if you happen to use NASA. That one is accepted as just NASA. Make sure that you have all of the pieces parts in place as they should be. You need the sender's address, that's your address, not including your name. You need the date spelled out in long form. You need an inside address, that's the address where you're sending the letter to. Remember, we're preparing this for print. You need your greeting, dear Mr. or Miss, and their last name. Do not include their first name. The body of your letter, which has separate paragraphs with a blank line in between, so that you can show that this is this thought process and here's a different thought process. Make sure that you're paragraphing well. You need a closing. Thank you is not a closing, it is a sentence. So make sure that your closing is something like sincerely, or with kind regards, or thoughtfully, or eagerly awaiting your reply, or something like that, and have it followed by a comma. Then you want to skip 3 blank lines. Even if you are only ever presenting this electronically, you need those 3 lines there where you would write your signature if you were signing your name. And then the last line should be your name typed out in full form, which goes under where your signature would be. This has this all spelled out as I just said, and it also has a sample that is properly done. There are several prior student work samples available to look at. These contain one of my favorite elements that I like to see in your work, which is humor. Most of these have some funny elements talking about just how crazy their product got. But what I wanted to show you was the parameters of the assignment itself. For this, you are going to write a complaint letter or a claim letter. You are basically considering a product that you got that did not perform as you expected, and you are complaining to the company in writing, and you're seeking some sort of a remedy to the issue. So you have to have all of the standard parts of a business letter. You need to make sure that you state the problem backed up by facts and examples. If you made any attempt to try to fix it yourself, you need to say what it is that you did and how you tried to fix it. You need to let me know what you'd like to see happen to satisfy the situation and make it better. Be reasonable though. You can't ask them to send you $1 million for something that was a $25 product that didn't work right. Be logical and reasonable. If it burned your house down, then that's a whole different issue than if it just didn't work. You need to have a reasonable time frame for your expected response. Remember, we are talking about sending this through the U.S. Postal Service. So if you were to mail them this letter on today's date and expect a response within 1 week from today, they probably won't even receive the letter and get it routed to the right department within 7 days. So make sure that you use a reasonable time frame, 30, 60 days, something like that. Don't threaten them. Don't imply that you're going to report them to someone or sue them. Don't say you're going to give them bad press. Don't be threatening. you get more flies with honey than you do with vinegar. So make sure that you're nice and kind and polite and just very factual in your letter. Make sure that your pagination is correct. As I said above, you must have a readable font, you must have a reasonable margin, and everything should fit on one page if you can at all help it. As always, if you have any questions about any of this, please feel free to shoot me an email, and I'll get back to you just as soon as I can.